It could become a Category 2 hurricane later today and might even reach Category 3 by Saturday. As we speak, there's a big meeting going on in Brussels. Oh, excuse me. I'm one story ahead. This is a very interesting story. The U.S. and France this morning renewed security warnings to their citizens in Ethiopia after the Ethiopian government issued alerts of terrorism threats. 3 days ago, Ethiopia's anti-terrorism squad warned of an imminent terrorist attack. The French embassy asked residents and those in transit to be cautious. The U.S. advised its citizens there to stay away from city buses, minibuses, and use taxis. And they advised Americans to avoid public gatherings and public places, including hotels. Ethiopia's government said that an imminent terrorist attack was likely and urged its citizens to be vigilant. Now, in the southern part of the country, this report came in this morning, farmers in southern Ethiopia have stoned to death a senior terrorist figure. He's one suspected of having organized fatal blasts in the capital of Addis Ababa. His name is Leges Weji, who's a Central Committee member of the rebel Oromo Liberation Front. He was attacked yesterday while fleeing from a police operation in a remote village in the southern part of the country. The police said local farmers, whose tranquility has been destabilized by this terrorist, corralled him and stoned him to death. In Argentina, the lower house of the Argentinian parliament has passed a controversial bill to nationalize some $26 billion in pension funds. The proposal was approved earlier today by a 160 to 75 vote margin. This is after a 14-hour session. The bill was announced in October. It was labeled by critics at the time as an attempt by Argentinian President Cristina Kirchner to sequester funds to help cover the government's $20 billion interest payment in 2009. Argentinian stock markets dropped after the proposal. Kirchner asserted back in October that the move was being made to protect retirees from the effects of the global financial crisis. She said again this morning that there is a private system that spectacularly collapsed. There was a policy of looting. This measure to nationalize the pension fund will thwart that. The bill now moves to the Argentinian Senate, where Mrs. Kirchner has a bigger margin. Now the story in Brussels right now. European Union leaders are meeting in advance of next week's financial summit in Washington. The French are pushing for a deadline for a global deal by late March to prevent a repeat of the Wall Street collapse. Before coming to Brussels, British Prime Minister spoke that this is a decisive moment for the world economy. He said that the decisions we make now will affect the world for a decade or more in the future. The EU meeting comes 8 days before the big summit in Washington that will include the world's richest nations, as well as China, India, and Brazil. The meeting will center on possible ways of reversing the financial turmoil that has plagued economies worldwide, and also try to put into place some sort of international regulatory environment. France wants the G20 countries to draft an action plan within 100 days of the Washington meeting. Other leaders, such as German Chancellor Angela Merkel, says they want a program based on the lessons that we are drawing from the crisis so we don't repeat it. She says we need more transparency for the financial markets. We also need stronger institutions that act globally. To date, EU governments alone have committed some 2 trillion euros in cash injections, bank deposit guarantees, interbank loan coverage, and partial or full nationalization to prop up consumer and business confidence. Apparently, present at the meeting in 8 days at the White House will either be President-elect Barack Obama himself or his representatives. President Bush has invited Senator Obama and his wife to the White House for a meeting on Monday to very formally begin the transition holdover, and the Bush administration has signaled to Senator Obama that he is welcome at the meeting. The President-elect is holding a news conference today at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It will be held in Chicago and covered by all of the major American networks. That's in 2 hours and 7 minutes. It had been thought that the President-elect will make some cabinet announcements, although just before I came on the air I saw a story indicating that he would not. One announcement that he will make is, in fact, the announcement of Chicago Congressman Rahm Emanuel to be his chief of staff. Mr. Emanuel held a senior position in the Clinton administration. Senator Obama is hard at work. He has been interviewing a number of people. He has been meeting with economic advisors. The names that are being floated for possible designation as Treasury Secretary include two former Treasury Secretaries, Robert Rubin as well as Lawrence Summers. Summers in particular has appeared on American morning news shows as recently as this morning. So we'll keep our eyes on that. The President-elect has a tremendous amount of work in front of him, and there will be many people on Wall Street watching what he says today at 2 p.m. And now, I have received a couple of emails from people wondering why I'm so negative on Bermuda. I'm not at all negative on Bermuda. I love Bermuda. I love the Bermudan people. I, in fact, as my producer knows, sustained a scooter accident there 2 years ago and spent a week in the hospital, and was never more magnificently treated by the people there. There are still things that appear in the paper, in the Royal Gazette from Hamilton, that remind me just how nice Bermuda is. And this picture will sum it all up. This gentleman is Arthur Pemberton, and for those of you who are having trouble seeing that, you see him with his left sleeve rolled up. He's in the driver's seat of a car. Actually, I take that back. He's in the passenger seat of a car. We must remember that the steering wheels in Bermuda are on the right-hand side of the car. He's in the passenger seat of a car. He has his left sleeve rolled up, and the latex gloved hands of a health worker are injecting him. They're injecting him with a flu shot. Mr. Pemberton drove up, received his flu shot at a place called Flu Express. Flu Express is a drive-through flu shot clinic. Where is Flu Express located? Flu Express operates under the Rubber Tree at the junction of Khyber Pass Road and Middle Road between the hours of 9 and 5 p.m. 5 days a week, right under that rubber tree. Bermuda is indeed, and I'm not being remotely sarcastic, it's a very, very charming place and is well loved by many of us, including myself. There's still no word on General Motors, which is probably good news. If it's anything unbelievable, we'll come back and interrupt the pivot point systems. If not, we'll see you on Monday, and we wish you a pleasant weekend. Thank you for watching.